What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for November 12th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday, so it's time for a little positivity / motivation. And this one I'm 100% stealing. I've seen this a few different places through social media. I originally saw it from Arnold Schwarzenegger a couple weeks ago, but I feel it was the perfect time to pull this one out. We have 50 days left in 2024, and a lot of people always wait till January 1st to make New Year's resolutions, make changes, things like that. Go through dry January. Oh, the holidays are coming up. But why not start today? Yes, it's a Tuesday. It doesn't matter. You have 50 days left in 2024. There's not really anything all that special about January 1st, only it's a new month, start of a new year. Why not today? Start building some good habits now. I woke up this morning, wanted no parts of the gym, still not feeling the greatest, but forced myself because I knew, you know what? Get these habits done now, so then when January 1st does come, you're better off for it. And it doesn't matter if it's working out, eating better, starting a new hobby, starting to look for a job, whatever it is. Don't wait. Do it now. There's 50 days, and you can get a lot accomplished in 50 days and really start making those changes and working toward your goals and things like that. So don't wait till the end of the year, January 1st. You still have 50 days left in 2024. Make the most of it. End it on a hot streak and then roll right into 2025. But 50 days is more than enough time to have habits form and things like that. And just don't wait and keep putting it off, because why not today? Get it done. And that is Tuesday's motivation / positivity. There's 50 days left. Make the most of them. All right, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. First, follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Spread the word. Like, comment. All of those things help the algorithm out. So let's continue to outsmart the algorithm and definitely spread the word. We're definitely growing this, having a lot of fun. It's opening up many doors and opportunities to continue to grow this. So spread the word and let's have some fun heading into 2025. The Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame Heritage Collection is available online. All the archives are digitized. Still working through some of telling the stories and write-ups for those items. But you can see that. The link is in the description. Lots of good stuff. And as I keep saying, I want to tell the stories, but I want it to be sort of the one-stop shop for all your Philly sports history. And then on Sunday, we're kicking off our second annual gift and food drive in honor and partnering with the Maddie and Dixon Community Cupboard in Ambler. Starting the 17th, there'll be a GoFundMe where you can donate to purchase gift cards for kids in the area so they can go, and so the parents can go and they can have a very Merry Christmas. And then starting December 1st, we're going to do our reverse advent calendar. We had a lot of fun with that. Lots of people did that on their own. We had such donations that we gave to the Maddie and Dixon Community Cupboard and really helped a lot of folks in our area. So that kicks off on Sunday. More details with the GoFundMe and things like that, and specifics on the gift cards will be coming. But that kicks off, and looking forward to that. And then we're going to do what we're thankful for in Philly sports throughout the rest of the month. All right, big week for the Eagles. Short turnaround time, so we're going to kind of start previewing Washington and put the final bow on Dallas. Let's start with a lot of the feedback that I received yesterday. Actually, before I get into that, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who was the GOAT of the game? 58% of you said the defense, and it's hard to argue that. The defense was outstanding. They did exactly what they needed to do. We won our bet. We're 5-4 on the year. So things are looking good in Eagle Land. That's 5 in a row. Now to the feedback. And there was a ton of feedback about my comments about we need to give Sirianni more credit and this, that, and just a lot of people saying, oh, well, they're winning in spite of him, or they're not winning because of him. And I'm going to throw some stats here at you. Nick Sirianni has coached in 60 regular season games. Do you know how many of them he's won? 41. That's 68% over the course of 5 or 4+ seasons. It's pretty damn good. By comparison, Andy Reid through his first 60 games, 36 wins. So I don't know. I mean, all he does is win. For as goofy as he can be sometimes, and yes, I think we're nitpicking with him. Yes, some of the calls are uber aggressive, and when they don't work out, you're leaving points on the board. But in reality, none of those decisions have cost the Eagles a game this year. You could argue the Atlanta game did, but that was the right call. Saquon just dropped it. And I mean, had you kicked the field goal, it would have been different, whatever, I know. But none of his decisions have cost the Eagles games. And when they work, nobody really has issues with it. So I think we need to take a step back and not be so nitpicky and look at the details, because the dude's won 68% of his games. So another stat courtesy of Pat McAfee. Since 2022, only 3 coaches have had winning streaks of 5 games or more in each season. Andy Reid, Sean McDermott, and Nick Sirianni. In fact, Nick's had 5 now. 5 winning streaks of 5 or more games in the past 3 years. He's had different coordinators all 3 years. Completely redid the defense. I mean, what more do we want? And yes, I know he can be goofy. I know some people think he's annoying, but same people probably were the ones that were ripping the Phillies when they hired Charlie Manuel. And how did that work out? And before you say, oh, well, that's what he should have done. He should win 5 in a row. Yeah, and he's done it. And how many coaches have done that? 3. Andy Reid, Sean McDermott, Nick Sirianni. And go ahead, and I'm ready, because the next argument people make is, whoa, look at the roster. It's hard not to win with that. Okay, but he's done it 5 times in 3 years. You could also make the argument that Andy Reid has one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. One of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. Nobody says, well, Andy Reid's not a good coach. He just has good players, the way we do with Sirianni. Sean McDermott has Josh Allen. Okay, so you got to do what you got to do. And you look through history, when you have talented players, it does not always pan out. Do you think anyone could have coached the Bulls to the 2 3-peats? No, you needed a guy like Phil Jackson. Nobody says Phil Jackson's not a great coach. He had great players. And then he did it again with Shaq and Kobe. Think about the egos he had to do. Nobody says, oh, well, Phil Jackson had great players. Bill Belichick had Tom Brady. I don't hear people saying, there's a lot of people out there that would love to see him coaching the Eagles instead of Nick Sirianni. I don't hear people saying, well, he only won because of Tom Brady. No, he's a good coach. Look at all the talent Doc Rivers had in L.A., even in Boston. He got lucky and won one. And then with the Sixers. And how many did he win? So I think roughly 4.5 years into Nick Sirianni's tenure, he's doing a pretty damn good job. And if you want to say he's goofy, you'll get no arguments out of me. But I think it's time we take a step back. And I know I said this before, and then all of the decisions in the Jacksonville game came back almost to bite us, but they didn't. But, I mean, I think we really need to take a hard, long look at ourselves in the mirror and realize what he's doing here is very special. With all of the drama, all of the controversy, all of the hate that he gets, I mean, to borrow a line, all he does is win. Win, 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 win. 68% of the time, he wins. Only 3 coaches have 5-game win streaks over the past 3 years. Nick Sirianni is one of them. He actually, in fact, has 5. Think about that, numbers-wise. Do the math there. 5-game winning streaks in the past 3 years. He had 2 last year. In fact, last year there was an 8-1. He had an 8-game winning streak in 2022 and another 5-game winning streak. And now this 5-game winning streak. Pretty damn good if you ask me. So I'm ready for the Back to the Future voice and text line to blow up today. But you'd be wrong. And again, you can say what you want, but I gave you the argument. The roster, nobody says that about Andy Reid. Nobody says, well, Sean McDermott has Josh Allen. That's the only reason he's a good coach. No. They're not goofy. That's okay. But, and the decisions he's made, when they work out, nobody complains about him. Nobody complained about his decision-making in 2022. And his decision-making has not cost the Eagles a game this year. So just a couple last-minute thoughts there on Sirianni. I have full confidence that he will have this team ready to play on Thursday night. But before we get into Thursday night, let's kind of go back through and put some bows on the Cowboys game. The Sun and that whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous. The more I read about that, apparently for all other events that take place there, they put a curtain up. For some reason, Jerry Jones didn't want to put a curtain up, and it's just dumb. Absolutely dumb. It's a dumb stadium. The old stadium was dumb too with the stupid half a dome. It's just the entire organization is just dumb. A.J. Brown is absolutely just ridiculous. I mean, he quietly just puts up big numbers. Like, you watching that game, like, he had over 100 yards, and he just does what he has to do, and I love him. I finally was able to find a nameplate now that I ordered to put on the back of my Wentz jersey to cover up the A.J. Brown. So looking forward to that. And I think we take A.J. for granted just how good he really is. But shout out to you, A.J. Brown. Jalen Hunt got a lot of playing time. Nick Sirianni has been talking about how he's been impressing in practice. His playing time increased. And he had a tackle, but he was involved. He had a pass deflection. A little slight pass deflection that almost led to a Nakobe Dean interception. Remember, he was the guy that came in as sort of the project. So if he can come in and start contributing, this defense is only going to get better. So I'm all for it. But let me know your thoughts on Sirianni. I'm sure I'm irritating a lot of people with the Sirianni love today, but the numbers are the numbers. All right, it's short turnaround. Washington this week. Great game. I think it's a good test for both teams because the narrative is neither team has really played anyone. So I think both teams are going to be looking for a statement win. The line opened up as 3. The Eagles favored by 3. The over-under is 49, which I think that's a little high. We'll see how it moves heading into tomorrow or Thursday. But like I said, a measuring stick game for both teams. I think if the Eagles win, I think you can finally put to bed the entire, well, they haven't played anybody. Because, I mean, going into Cincinnati, this is a big game. They blew them out. Oh, well, Cincinnati sucks. The Jacksonville game, oh, well, they didn't beat them by enough. Dallas, well, they didn't have Dak Prescott. So there's always an excuse with this team, and all Sirianni does is win. So I think you win this game. Basically, first place is on the line in the division. I think this solidifies them as a bona fide Super Bowl contender. The Rams did not look very good last night. Baltimore's defense is shaky. So I know a couple weeks ago we said, what do they need to go in these next 4 games? And we said minimal 2-2. Well, they got 1 out of the way. So they got to win 1 of the next 3 to make it okay. I don't think winning 3 out of the 4 of the games is out of the question. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited for this game. I have not been this excited for an Eagles-Washington game in a long time. So we'll have more on that game as it goes. But let me know your thoughts on Nick Sirianni. And that also leads us to today's question of the day. Really thinking about the landscape of the NFL so far through 10 weeks. Is Jalen a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now? And I think he's on a short list of guys between 3 and 6, to be completely honest. Patrick Mahomes has not been doing a lot this year. But, I mean, he keeps winning, and I think until somebody beats him, you got to put him up there. I think you got to put Lamar Jackson there, maybe Josh Allen, but then you have, like, are you going to put Hurts or Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts? Are you going to put Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts? Are you going to put Matt Stafford over Jalen Hurts? Jared Goff, who just had 5 interceptions? I mean, I think you can make the case that Jalen is top 5 in the league right now. But what do you think? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now through 10 weeks in the season? I think he is. But let me know your thoughts on that, and keep the Sirianni hate coming. I love it, but tell me why I'm wrong about Nick Sirianni. All right, be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences. Should be an interesting game or episode this week for football between the Giants bubbling the way, the Cowboys being terrible, and then the big Washington Eagles game coming up. Should be a fun one. That is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Go to Philly Goat. It's never too early to start your holiday shopping. We talked about the Philadelphia Quakers yesterday. They got you covered with a Philadelphia Quakers sweatshirt. Go check it out. It's a replica of their jerseys. It's awesome. Get some Eagles gear up for this playoff run that's coming. And then check out the cooler bags. I keep telling you, if anybody out there who buys me presents is listening, I would love the backpack cooler. They collaborated with Varsity Cooler. All of that is available on phillygoat.com. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. We do have some Phillies news. Zach Wheeler was named one of the finalists for the National League Cy Young. Likely that is going to go to Chris Sale, but it's good because once again, Wheeler's probably going to be number 2 again. I would love to see him win a Cy Young, but maybe the voters will look at the big picture and give it to Zach just for consistency's sake, but that will be announced. I'm not sure when that is going to be announced, but we'll keep you posted as that comes. By the way, I missed this the other day because there were no Phillies. No Phillies won a Gold Glove this year. Kind of shocking, but just one of those things. Thought Bryce had a shot. Bryson, even Ranger for that matter, but I don't think Ranger had enough starts. But no Gold Glove for the Phillies this year. Big win for the Flyers yesterday, 4-3 in a shootout. They built a 3-0 lead and lost it, but did battle back. Mishkov had a goal and an assist, also scored one of their shootout goals. Samuel Ersson had 28 saves. And this team, you can tell they're a young team. And they come out with energy, and then they have lapses where they'll blow a 3-0 lead in a game that should have never gone to overtime. But if they can just get consistent play and keep it even for a full 60 minutes, this team could make some noise later in the season. But the Flyers are fun again. Mishkov with a goal and assist, and then the shootout goal. Speaking of fun again, Sixers tonight. They take on the Knicks in an NBA Cup game, so the Sixers will have the blue court. Joe should be playing tonight. Don't know if he's going to be on any minutes restrictions or anything like that, but I mean, I think people are going to go nuts if he's on any type of minutes restriction. But Sixers-Knicks tonight in the NBA Cup. Joe should be making his preseason or regular season debut. Hopefully it's not one of those things that right before the game, my knee was a little gimpy and I'm not going to play. But we'll see how that plays out tonight. Big Five Classic Pod Play also kicks off today. Drexel will take on Temple. Villanova and St. Joe's will face off in the opening pod games for the Big Five Classic. I'm anxious to see how this really goes. That Nova-St. Joe's game, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes. Obviously, looking for my Owls to go 3-0. But I think Nova-St. Joe's is at 5. Temple Drexel is at 7. But looking forward to the Big Five Classic pod games kicking off tonight. All right, today, and this is fitting for this week's game, we're going to go back to 1990, and it was the body bag game. Eagles versus Washington, Monday Night Football, down at the Vet. 3 weeks prior to this, Washington beat the Eagles 13-7 when they were in D.C., which led Buddy Ryan before this game started to say the Eagles are going to inflict a beating so bad on Washington that they'll have to be carted off in body bags. Well, the Eagles certainly held up their end of the bargain. They won 28-14. William Frizzell and Clyde Simmons both scored defensive touchdowns. Heath Sherman had himself a day. He caught 2 touchdowns, one from Randall, one from Keith Byers. He ran the ball 35 times, tying a team record set by Steve Van Buren. Ironically enough, the following year, with all the quarterback carousel, Heath Sherman would run the ball 35 times again in a game. Just a little side fact. But back to the body bag part. In total, 6 Washington players had to leave the game. Multiple other ones were injured. Starting quarterback Jeff Rutledge, backup quarterback Stan Humphries, who were like 3rd and 4th on the depth chart due to injuries that Washington was facing that year. Both got knocked out of the game, forcing rookie running back and future Eagle Brian Mitchell to finish the game as the emergency quarterback for Washington. Also did lead them to change the rule about having a third quarterback on the team that could pop in and play. But unfortunately for the 1990 Eagles, Washington would have the last laugh. They beat the Eagles 20-6 at the Vet in the wild card that year, which ultimately led to Buddy Ryan getting fired. But on this day in 1990, Eagles-Washington, Monday Night Football, it was the body bag game. Eagles winning 28-14, scoring 2 defensive touchdowns. Heath Sherman catching 2 touchdowns, one from Randall, one from Keith Byers. Excuse me, in a big game for both teams, actually. And I figured that was fitting since this is Eagles versus Washington week. What else was going on this day in Philly sports? The Sixers were preparing to take on the Pacers without Johnny Dawkins, who was getting ready to have surgery later that day for a torn, I forget whether it was his meniscus or his ACL. They were 2-3 that season, dealing with a ton of injuries at that point. They only had 10 players that were available for the game against the Pacers. I don't know if they signed anybody to 10-day contracts or not, but the Sixers were preparing for life without Johnny Dawkins, one of my favorite players too, even though he went to Duke for the Sixers back then. The Flyers were gearing up for a big game against the Rangers. They were in second place in the Patrick division behind the Rangers, so that was must-see TV back then. And the other big story was going back to that Eagles game, because in the paper that day, everything was Eagles because of the body bag game and just how well the defense played. Reggie White had his first career interception against the Washington team. Took it 33 yards, setting up another Eagles touchdown. He only had 3 for his career, but the first interception for Reggie White happened on this day back in 1990 during the body bag game as the Eagles beat Washington 28-14 at the Vet on Monday Night Football, knocking out 6 Washington players, and had Brian Mitchell had to finish the game as quarterback for Washington. The future Eagle, by the way. We'll have more on the Big 5 Classic pod games tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts on Sirianni, and is Jalen a top 5 quarterback right now? I think you have to give him the nod and say yes. That's 267-495-8531 to get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. We'll recap the Sixers-Knicks NBA Cup game tonight as we gear up for Thursday Night Football showdown down at the Link against the Washington Commanders. Excuse me. Remember, there's only 50 days left in the year. Make them count. It's never too early to start forming new habits. Don't wait till January 1st. Start today. Do something to make yourself better, so by the time January 1st comes, you're able to hit the ground running. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for November 12th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. I was trying to hold down one. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, I need a cough drop.